when an article came out in the Columbia Trib that was talking about the opening for the county assessor position, my husband was reading the paper and he looked over and he said, "This is just right for you. Why don't you run for this?" Because he saw how I really loved working in public service and doing all the research and work and staying on top of what's going on in the city and the county. Because what's usually happening in Columbia usually trickles down to Ashland. And the same concerns, the same population. So I kind of thought about it and talked to some people and decided I needed to do it. One of the motivations was the economy. When I look out there and there are so many foreclosures and there are a lot of seniors that are struggling with paying their property taxes, I did some research, started looking around, started talking to people, and I decided that I'm the one that they need to be talking to at that office. It's going to be a change in the Boone County market. It's been great. We've been booming. I mean, we went from a single-digit appreciation that just happened because we had a good economy here. Then in the boom, we saw double-digit appreciation rates, but now, guess what? We're just like national trends. We're going to slow down a little bit. Some markets may actually depreciate, and I think I'm the one that needs to be in there looking at those and saying this is the right thing to do.
Now, what role does the assessor play, say, when you're talking about foreclosures? How can the assessor help with that?
How can they help?
Yeah.
Really, we can't help with the foreclosures, but what we can do is make sure that property taxes are affordable. We will also have to look at the impact of foreclosures within a neighborhood. If there's a lot of them, it has to impact property values around them. So the assessor is going to have to be tuned to that. Really look at pocket markets, like especially in the older neighborhoods here in central Columbia. We have a few pockets in Ashland. They have a few up in Centralia, and we're going to have to look at the market along with. We don't get the sales information, by the way. Most of it, people are not required to fill out that certificate of value. So I think that's, as far as foreclosures go, I really think what we can do is just make sure part of the reason people are not available to stay in their home is because property taxes are too high. I especially have that interest about seniors.
Now, what do you think? The current assessor has been in this position for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do differently? What changes do you think you could bring to the office, or is there anything that needs to be changed?
Yes. Okay. Now what we're talking about, out on my website, there's a 8-9-point plan, and that's what's been great about this campaign. We actually have issues. We actually have differences, and it's been really good to bring those to the forefront. One issue we have was the way the assessor decided to assess us on our vehicles. And it's been called the VIN system, VIN system, Vehicle Identification System. And the issue that I've been trying to make is that in 2005, the assessor made this decision totally on his own. He didn't talk to anybody about it, and it resulted in most people getting an income tax increase. A property tax increase on their vehicles. That was kind of surprising. I would have thought that we would have at least been notified. Now, it's been discussed. Is it fair? We should have been discussing this 3 years ago. Is it fair? Because we're the only county that uses this VIN software in the state. And what it does, it doesn't just go out and capture the year, make, and model of a vehicle. It also looks at all of the add-ons. A lot of people have talked about leather seats and bells and whistles is what it is. And and I know that when you go buy a vehicle, those add-ons are usually added to the sticker price. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're given to you. But anyway, by using this system now and going out to the NADA, which is the National Automobile Pricing Index that we have to use based on state law, it picks up all these little bells and whistles. And that means that a truck that the basic truck is $25,000, you upgrade to a $40,000, you are now getting assessed on that 40,000 value. Is that fair? A lot of people say it is. I still think we should have discussed it, though. And so what I want to say to people is to make sure they understand the VIN issue that we're discussing is that this was changed without our input, without the commissioner's input. It was just done. And I think that's a pretty bold step by an assessor to just make a change like that. It also costs us $18,000 a year. And then at one of the forums, he remarked that it saved us on something. We still haven't seen since 2005 what impact that had on our property tax income. So I think we should look at that. Another big change that we have, the certificate of value, which is mailed out to anybody that a transfer of property. They get this form generated from the assessor's office. It's activated by the county clerk, the county recorder, notifying the assessor that property has changed hands. So you receive this form in the mail that looks very official, and it asks you all kinds of information about the physical characteristics of your house. And then at the very last question it says, please verify your purchase price. I have a big difference there. We are a non-reporting state with the exception of St. Louis area. And it indicates to the person, especially a first-time home buyer that's never done this before, or I'm finding out a lot of people that have moved here from reporting states assume they're supposed to do it. So they fill this in and send it back to the assessor. Now, we can say, well, that's great. Now we know the real value of that person's home. That's fine if it was for everybody. But a few that do fill out this form thinking they have to, it looks very official, are being penalized in some cases because that information is used to raise their property value, their taxes go up. And I will remind people that back in 2005, this was made a big issue by a family that gave the information, and their taxes went up, I think, 90%. And then the assessor used that to warn the rest of this neighborhood, just get ready because I'm going to raise your taxes too. So that put a lot of pressure on that person that was living in the neighborhood. That was not a good use. Any appraiser knows one sale does not a market make. And in that situation, the assessor did, and he did it publicly. Now, it's in a forum just a few weeks ago, he did make that remark, and he was quoted, one sale does not make a market. But yet, he did use one sale to set a market and to, I feel that he threatened these people, that I'm going to raise your taxes based on one sale, and they also knew who it was. So, you know, that's not a good use of the certificate of value. I would do away with that form as it is. I will talk to the tax commission. We are under state tax commission statutes. I will talk to them and say, what do we have to have on there, you know, and make it fair. If you talk to a lot of assessors, they don't get back hardly any of them anyway, and information is halfway filled out or not filled out. So I also would, it's gotten some interest at state level. So maybe property taxes are becoming a big concern in Missouri, across the nation. Because of that boom, a lot of taxes went up. State is getting very interested, and I'll be the kind of assessor that steps up and gives input to help property taxpayers. Like St. Louis County did. Some grassroots organization over there just was the machine behind the legislation that just got passed, because in St. Louis County, they saw like 106% increases. So they went out, got the legislation out there to protect against windfall property taxes. So you can't make money off of the appreciation and the market factors.